Every foldable phone has the same awkward moment. You open it, the screen looks massive, the animation is satisfying, and then the light hits it from the side. There it is, the crease. Since 2019, that crease has been the foldable category's most famous open secret. Samsung has refined it, minimized it, and even marketed around it. Google's Pixel Fold improved it. Honor and Xiaomi tried their own hinge solutions. And after years of engineering across the entire Android ecosystem, the reality is still the same. The crease is still visible in certain lighting, still noticeable under your thumb, and still the thing reviewers bring up early in every foldable phone review. Now, the newest Apple foldable iPhone leak is making a claim that sounds almost impossible. Apple's first foldable, often referred to as the iPhone Ultra in rumors, could ship with no visible crease. Multiple leaks circulating from sources like Fixed Focus. Digital and posts on Weibo describe a Liquidmetal Hinge, connected to Apple's long-running relationship with Liquidmetal Technologies, and that hinge is allegedly the key to the creaseless display story. Most rumors stop at the headline, but the reason this matters comes down to the one thing every foldable fights: bend geometry at the fold axis. The sharper the fold, the more the display layers compress and deform, and the more the surface develops that telltale ridge that catches light. The industry's move toward teardrop-style hinge cavities wasn't just about durability. It was about spreading the bend radius across a wider arc so the screen doesn't have to fold into a tight point. What Apple is rumored to be doing goes further. Liquid metal alloys, often described as amorphous metallic glass, don't have the same crystalline grain structure as conventional metals. In simple terms, that can mean better resistance to certain types of wear and deformation under repeated stress, which is exactly what a foldable hinge experiences thousands and thousands of times. The leak-driven theory is that Apple's hinge doesn't just reduce stress on the panel. It also returns to a flatter resting position more effectively when the phone is opened. Pair that with a display layer stack engineered to lie truly flat when unfolded, and you reduce the optical ridge that ambient light catches and your eyes interpret as a crease. If Apple can actually deliver a foldable iPhone with a genuinely no visible crease display, that's not a small upgrade. This would be Apple entering the foldable phone market and immediately attacking the #1 weakness that every foldable still has. Then there's another twist that makes the iPhone Ultra foldable rumors even more interesting. Touch ID is reportedly coming back, and it's coming back on the side button. For years, Touch ID has been the budget Apple signal. iPhone SE, certain iPads, and devices aimed at buyers watching the price. Face ID has been the premium standard since iPhone X. So why would Apple put Touch ID on what could be the most expensive iPhone ever? Because foldable physics don't care about branding. Face ID isn't just a selfie camera. It's a full sensor stack, structured light projector, infrared camera, and flood illuminator. That system requires internal depth and space. Leaks suggest the iPhone Ultra could be extremely thin when unfolded, around 4.8 mm, and that kind of thinness makes it dramatically harder to fit the full Face ID hardware. A side-button Touch ID sensor becomes the cleanest solution for a dual-state device. One biometric system that works whether the phone is folded or open without awkward compromises on either display. And a foldable side-button Touch ID isn't a step back. It's arguably the most elegant answer. Now look at the screen choice, because this is where Apple's foldable iPhone might feel fundamentally different from most Android foldables. The leaks point to a 7.8-inch inner display with a 4.3 aspect ratio. That's not the tall, narrow, scroll-first approach you see on many foldables. That's closer to an iPad mini-style canvas, wider, more balanced, and far more practical for real multitasking. A near-square 4.3 inner panel is a software bet as much as it is a hardware decision. It suggests Apple wants the unfolded iPhone Ultra to behave like a real productivity device. 2 apps side by side without each one feeling like a skinny column. Better layouts for documents and email, more natural space for reading, and a more tablet-like feel for everyday work. And the software rumors are lining up with that direction. Developer chatter around iOS 27 builds mentions fold-related references like fold state and angle degrees, along with Apple's ongoing push for app adaptability across changing sizes and aspect ratios. Apple doesn't win categories by being first. Apple wins by making the software feel inevitable on day one. If the iPhone Ultra Foldable launches with iOS features that intelligently switch layouts between folded and unfolded states, That 7.8-inch 4.3 inner display could become the reason people finally understand why a foldable phone is more than a gimmick. Performance leaks add another layer. An A20 Pro chip on a 2nm process paired with 12 GB of RAM. Whether those exact specs hold or not, the direction makes sense. A foldable iPhone has to power two very different experiences. A standard phone experience when closed, and a tablet-style workspace when open, often with heavier multitasking expectations than a normal iPhone. If Apple wants iPhone Ultra to feel like iPad grade when unfolded, it needs the headroom to keep everything fast, fluid, and stable. Now let's talk about the part that will dominate headlines: the price. The leaks point to a confirmed price above $2,000, with analyst ranges often discussed around $2,000 to $2,500. That puts the iPhone Ultra foldable in MacBook territory, and Apple will only get away with that if the engineering story is real. The rumored value proposition is basically four big pillars: a no-visible crease foldable display, a Liquidmetal Hinge that enables that claim, Touch ID on the side button because the device is ultra-thin, and a 7.8-inch 4.3 inner screen designed for true multitasking with software to back it up. As for timing, leaks suggest Apple could announce the foldable iPhone Ultra at a September keynote, often rumored around September 8th or 9th, with availability around September 18th. But the biggest obstacle might not be the launch date. It might be supply. Weibo leakers suggest early production could be limited, and hitting a larger production target could take months. Translation: even if Apple announces it, even if reviews go live, even if demand explodes, getting your hands on the iPhone Ultra foldable before the holidays could be the hardest part. So here's the real question. If Apple actually ships a foldable iPhone with no visible crease, a Liquidmetal Hinge, a practical 4.3 inner display, and Touch ID that makes sense for a super thin design, does that finally make foldables feel ready for mainstream buyers? Or is $2,000 plus simply too high no matter how good the hardware is? For more updates on the Apple foldable iPhone Ultra, the Liquidmetal Hinge leaks, the creaseless display details, the iPhone Ultra release date, and everything leading up to Apple's September keynote, add us as a preferred source on Google.